What's up, guys? Welcome back to Just a Guy on My Lunch Break. Just wanted to do a quick update video for you guys on the way home today, kind of let you know where I'm at with my Kratom taper. So I'm at 4 grams. I was able to eke it down to 4 grams over the weekend. It's not been easy, and it's not been without challenges, but I'm there. That's where I'm at. So I'm basically not taking any Kratom all day for the last probably almost 2 weeks now. I've been completely skipping the morning dose, completely skipping my lunchtime dose, and then only taking my dose when I get home in the evenings, which is around 6 o'clock in the evening. And then I've been taking my nighttime, bedtime dose to try to help, keep me sleeping through the night. That's quite challenging, if I'm being honest, and it has been quite challenging, but my thought process is I'm up moving around during the day. I would much rather get rid of those doses first, because I can just kind of push through. At least my attention is divided and I'm engaged in something anyway while I'm working usually, so it makes it a little easier to just kind of pass time in that way. But have a couple of children at home. One of those is a very young child. He's only 14 months, so I just wanted, for me personally, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't losing a lot of sleep throughout this process. That was the biggest, most important thing to me. So far, that's been okay. I'm absolutely not sleeping like a baby every night, let me be clear. And I have been taking things like Unisom and stuff like that to really help try to stay asleep longer for longer periods of time. Either way, that's neither here nor there. So one of the things I want to talk about today is when I first started doing these videos again, I said I was going to touch on this, a specific health scare and health concern that I started having, that looking back on it now, in retrospect, I'm about 99% sure was a side effect of heavy Kratom use. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And what that was is an issue of not only frequent urination, but a really uncontrollable urge in my bladder to have to urinate, even when there was clearly no urine in my bladder. And this started for me roughly maybe about, I guess it's been probably a month or more ago now at this point. But it's, taking 30, 40 grams of Kratom every day, plus I drink a lot of water also. I was drinking coffee and orange juice, which are bladder irritants, I've now learned. I was doing all that to, potentiate the Kratom and make it hit harder and stuff like that, plus taking the higher amounts. So I was already urinating a lot. It was not uncommon for me to go to the bathroom. Now, this is a guesstimate. I never really counted, but it was not uncommon for me to probably go in the bathroom and piss probably 20 times or more a day. And that just became normal for me. That was my normal, and I guess it's just something that I kind of got used to doing more and more and more and more as I was using the Kratom every day. And this specifically was tough at nighttime, and I really had some serious anxiety associated with this condition. And I would lay down at night. It's one thing when you're up during the day and you're moving around, you're going here, you're going there. I'm always up, standing up from my desk at work and walking somewhere to take care of something or whatever. Stop by the bathroom, piss. Nobody's counting how many times I go to the bathroom each day. It's just something I do. And so you don't think much about it. But when you lay down at night and you're trying to rest, and all you need to do is just get some adequate sleep for that night so that you can recharge and then get up and do all of your responsibilities for the next day, the last thing you want to happen is when you lay down to have this is to have this intense urge that you have to urinate. And then you go in the bathroom and literally 2 or 3 drops come out. That's literally what I was experiencing. And it was very, very frustrating, very, very distressing. And so at my highest use of Kratom, which was about a month and a half ago, probably about more like a month and a half ago at this point, this started happening to me. And I shit you not. Somebody told me earlier, I appreciate your vulnerability on here talking about this stuff. Well, how's this for vulnerability? I literally more than once broke down and cried. Yep, that's right. Yep, the guy who loves to work out, the guy who loves MMA, the guy who used to train in MMA, I broke down and cried like a little bitch a couple of times because of this condition I had going on. And part of that is I wasn't sure what it was. But also, I have to be on my P's and Q's. I have to provide for my family, and the part that scared me more than anything is, how long is this going to last? How long is this going to go on? Because I was having 3-4 nights in a row where I was just barely sleeping because I was having this intense urge to have to urinate, but yet there was barely anything coming out, right? So go to the doctor about it. The first thing they thought is maybe it's first thing they thought was a UTI. So the first doctor's visit I had, they gave me some antibiotics to take care of it. 3, 4, 5 days passed, and I kind of knew immediately, like, I don't think that's what this is. I always had this sneaky suspicion in the back of my mind that it could be the Kratom use. Obviously, I looked it up, I'd researched it a little bit. Obviously, Kratom is a diuretic. Obviously, your body has to struggle. Your kidneys have to struggle to try to process through that. I thought it could have been a UTI created from the Kratom use, or I thought it could have been kidney stones. Although at 48 years of age, I've never had a kidney stone ever. I'm a pretty healthy guy. I exercise. I eat healthy. I drink a pretty good amount of water for the most part. But my water intake has subsided a little bit since I've been working this new job and learning the new job and really trying to help grow their business. I haven't had as much time throughout the day to really, get that water intake in like clockwork. So I thought it could have been a few things like that. And so they started treating me for a UTI. After about a week, I was still having the issue. The antibiotics weren't helping. Went back to the doctor a second time. This time, well, maybe it's your prostate. Let's do a blood test. You're a little young to be dealing with a swollen prostate, but that is a lot of times a common issue when a man's prostate gets swollen. It can push on the bladder and literally give you the feeling as though you have to urinate, even though there's not really any urine in your bladder to void, okay? So we thought it was that. Did my blood test. I did my urinalysis. Urinalysis comes back normal, so there's no UTI. This is the second time. First time I went to the doctor, they didn't do a UTI or do a urinalysis. Second time, did a urinalysis. That came back negative, so there's no UTI. Did all my blood tests, my PSA levels, which, for those of you who don't know, PSA levels are specifically testing a man's prostate. And if a man has, levels of up into 6, 7, 8, 9 points on the PSA level score test, then that could indicate that there's some sort of issue with either swollen prostate, prostatitis, and, scary as it may sound, the C word, cancer. Could also indicate something like that. So obviously when I'm getting all this done, this is scaring the shit out of me, right? Because I'm looking at, he wanted to test my PSA levels, and before I get the score back, I'm obviously Googling shit, and oh God, what if it's this, what if it's that, or what if it's the C word, get my PSA levels back, and they're actually low. They're actually on the low end. So this is indicating that there's not an issue with my prostate, and it's very unlikely that it's the C word or anything else, right? So gone to the doctor several times at this point, right? And I'm just getting all this, I don't know, here's some more antibiotics, here's something that can help with bladder spasms and this and that and the other. And I started getting to a point where, at this point, when I started having this issue, I had a sneaky suspicion that it was the Kratom the whole time. So I almost immediately started this taper, right? It's one of the things that was a rock bottom health scare, which I talk about rock bottom on here a lot. People aren't going to quit a lot of times until that thing happens. I didn't quit until this one thing happened that scared the shit out of me, or that really disturbed me, or really frustrated me, or scared me, or whatever the case is. And it, kind of put me over the edge. That was the tipping point that made me want to quit. Well, this was my tipping point. So I started tapering, pretty regularly, pretty immediately. And after about a couple of weeks, I was still kind of having some issues, but it had started to let up some, and I was going, 2-3 nights in between and wasn't having the spells at night anymore, right? And so I get to the point where when I start getting down to 12 grams per day, 10 grams per day, then 8 grams per day, then 6 grams per day, and now down to 4 grams per day, the issues with the urinary frequency and the issues with the urge to urinate, that disconcerting, stressful urge to urinate when there's actually no urine to void, has started to do this. Slowly but surely, ever so slowly, it has started to decline. And at this point, it's probably been a good week and a half, 2 weeks since I've even really felt it. I've had a couple of tiny, like little breakthrough moments where I'm like, oh, I kind of feel like I have to pee, and then I go to the bathroom and there's not really anything there, but it's not as intense, it's not as severe, it's not as steady, it's not as disconcerting, it's going away, right? I mean, just a coincidence, perhaps? Is this just a coincidence? I don't know. I think I know. Pretty sure I know. But either way, the conditions started to improve. Not really dealing with it much anymore. And I can say with a pretty large level of certainty that this was Kratom induced, right? Taking all this Kratom, not getting in quite the water intake that my body had been used to in the past. I think my whole urological system was just like, dude, what the fuck? What the fuck are you doing? Stop, please stop. Because your body is a very finely tuned, sensitive instrument and machine, right? And when you continuously barrage your body with things that are hurting its health, its very physical health, and its homeostasis, and its very well-being, your body has a way of eventually, it'll deal with it for a little while, because your body's there for you. It's trying to protect you. Your liver's there for you. Your kidneys are there for you. They're working overtime, trying to take care of all this shit, trying to process through all this shit that you're putting in your body, right? But eventually, we talk about that tipping point. Eventually, there will be this tipping point where your body's going to throw up a red flag and be like, bro, can't do this shit anymore. You're going to have to stop. And usually, the way that it does that and the way that it happens is stuff like that happened to me. You start having this random pain in your back, or you start, where your kidneys are, or you start having this urge to urinate that you've never had before. You start urinating way more frequently. Your body trying to get rid of all this Kratom and process through it all. Or you start having a pain here, or a pain there, or you start being able to, you start going 2 or 3 days without taking a shit because you're too constipated. Your body has a way of telling you. Your body has a way of letting you know when it's just too damn much and it's out of control. So all of you out there, take that for what it's worth. I hope the story helps you. I know I've had a couple of people, I've mentioned it before, but I've not told the whole story. And I've had a couple of people say, yeah, no, I've heard of that. Yeah, or that something similar happened to me. I had one lady on my channel tell me that it happened to her husband, and she described the situation to me where her husband had something similar happen to him with the whole frequent urination and all that stuff. So I just want you guys to be aware. If you're a person that uses Kratom, and if you use it responsibly and you're only taking it a couple times a week in smaller amounts, you're probably good. I'm not here to judge anybody who uses Kratom. That's just not what I'm about on this platform. I'm just not. For some people, it's a godsend. They swear by it. It helps them with this, it helps them with that. And if they're using it responsibly, who am I to sit here and pass judgment on someone for how they use Kratom? I'm just not going to do that. But if you're a person like I was, who always seem to get to this point where I'm not using it responsibly, you will eventually get to a point where your body is going to throw up a red flag and say, dude, you have to stop. You're effing killing us. Right? That was my moment. That was my red flag moment. That was my rock bottom moment. That is the reason I'm now at 4 grams per day and counting. I'll let you know how tomorrow looks. It might be a couple of days before I do another video, but I just wanted to reach out to you guys and kind of tell that story and hope that it helps someone out there. And yeah, and I had somebody ask me on the channel the other day, somebody commented and asked, hey, I just want to know, do you want to get off of Kratom or do you not? Because I've been on, off, but I want to explain something. My relationship with Kratom is very similar to many addicts' experience with Kratom. You get on, then you get back off, and then you get weak, and then you get on again, and then you manage to get off, and then you get back on again. This is a flaw of the addict mind. So to answer the question to that gentleman who asked me that, absolutely I want to get off. But I'm an addict, bro. I'm an addict. Especially for that shit. Especially for Kratom. So the only difference between me and you, or me and other addicts out there, is I get on here and I'm vulnerable and I talk about my shit. You know, there's millions of addicts out there that are following the same on, then off, on, then off, on, then off that I've been doing for the past several years. I'm not saying that makes it okay, you know. I'm working as hard as I can to get off again, but I just want to be clear that they asked the wrong question, asking me, do you want to get off, or do you want to stay on it, or do you want to stay off, get off for good? Which is it? Of course I want to be off. Of course I want to be off for good. But addiction is a disease, bro. You know, and whether I want it or whether I don't want it is not the question. It's whether I'm willing to put in the work and get done what needs to be done, and decide that I'm sick and tired and I'm done with it this time for good. So it's become, for me, not about what I want, but more about what I need and what I must do at this point. So I'm hoping and praying that puts me over the edge this time, and I'm able to get off of it and stay off of it. I got a good feeling about it. I do. But you know what? Nobody has a crystal ball here. I don't have a crystal ball here. You guys don't have a crystal ball here. You just have to keep watching to see what happens with me. But I'll never lie to you. You know, you guys know I've always been vulnerable, open, honest on here, and have always admitted and talked about, you know, my decisions to take it again and to use it again. And I've also, you know, come back and in embarrassment at times and been like, yeah, so that wasn't a good idea. Probably shouldn't have used that one weekend when I decided that, oh, well, I can just use this one time. Probably wasn't a good idea for a guy like me, right? And that's all I can hope for. You know, that's all you guys can hope for. I'm not perfect, but I won't lie to you guys. You know, I'm giving you the truth, the realness of what this addiction is like, you know, and how difficult it is to completely come off. So anyway, all right, love you guys very much. I gotta go. I'm almost home. And comment down below, like the video, subscribe. We're over 900 now. 1,000 is next. I'd love to see the channel get there. That'd be great. A lot of people say it helps, just hearing someone's experience and having a platform to kind of discuss it back and forth with like-minded people. So I'm assuming that's true, that it really does help you guys, and that's what I'm here for, and to help myself at the same time. All right, I gotta go. You guys have a great evening. See ya.